All right, guys, how's it going? Guru Nation, welcome. Welcome, Facebook. Welcome, LinkedIn. Welcome, YouTube. It's just you three groups today. Instagram, when I got a guest and I'm live, I can't do it because then you can't see, and I'm not going to hold my phone like this the whole time. And then TikTok. By the way, TikTok is a great way to start this because Rebecca suggested. I've had a TikTok for like a year, but I stopped using it after a while. Things got busy, pandemic. I didn't feel like dancing. Rebecca told me, you know what? You need a TikTok because I found out about research, not through your TikTok, through someone else's. And that hurt my feelings because I want her to find about research through me. So then I started doing TikToks again. And that's another topic, but try to please, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Follow me on TikTok. I'm trying to get to 1,000. I only have like 100. And I need 1,000 so I can live stream there too. We need to educate the youngsters. If I'm millennial, what are you, Rebecca? You're Gen Z? What is the new one? The
Yeah,
Star
Gen
Children?
Z.
Gen
I
Z.
guess. Yeah, I'm probably just about the start of Gen Z.
You're the Gen Z or the Star Child. The next one's the Star Children. So that's who knows what they'll be using. They'll be using VR or something, and I'll be on there as well. We got Rebecca, as you can read from the title. She's a CRC Academy. Here's the logo behind me, half of the logo. All right, the CRC Academy graduate who got hired at a large hospital system, and all because of the CRC Academy and her Rebecca's efforts as well as Monica's efforts. I had nothing, almost nothing to do with it. I need to be more involved with CRC Academy, Monica. I think it's we need I don't know. We need to do something different because I'm involved with CRA Academy, but I need to be more involved with CRC Academy. So, anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment, put your questions down here. We're gonna feature the good ones on the show. I want to know where you're watching from and what's going on. And so, Monica, you want to introduce Rebecca?
Yeah, so this is Rebecca Goetz. She was in our, I think, November class last year.
October.
October class last year, and I knew since the beginning that she was going to be really good. I knew it.
Why? Why? Let's start with that
Because
because
she's
how
a
do you know?
go-getter. Because she's a go-getter. She was answering. She was always on time with the assignments. She was just like awesome. She never missed. I think she missed only one class. I think since you start with the students, you know who's gonna be great, and she's one of those
What
students.
gave you that? What gave it away that she was a go-getter?
Because pretty much since the beginning, she was asking me questions about the profession. She was asking me how to improve her CV, and she started even before she finished the class looking for jobs. So, and not all of the students
Hmm.
that do that. And then on top of that, she
That's
was
important.
recently graduating from university. So she didn't even leave a break to continue educating herself to improve her possibilities to get a really good career.
Wow.
She graduated just before she started school, the CRC Academy,
Wow.
and
Why would you do that, Rebecca? Why most people listening or watching right now would say, "What? Rebecca's crazy. She's still in school and she's paying for a CRC Academy. Wow, what's going on?"
Yeah, so I graduated in May, and I knew I got my degree in biology and that I loved science, and I did a lot of bench work in school. And I didn't know where to go from there with that. And I was a little lost for a couple months in the summer. And when I saw that TikTok and I found, clinical research, it's something hit me and I said, okay, I have to go for it. Right now everything is paused and clearly this isn't paused. This is still going, and if I can somehow further my education while this pandemic's going on, while we're stuck inside, why not? So yeah, I decided to go for it.
Wow. Okay. So really, like you graduated in May. From which school? Where did you go?
Binghamton University. It's one of the State University of New York schools.
Okay, so you graduated in May, and then in the summer you're just on TikTok, seeing what's going on. and then how did you see clinical research? Did you know anything about it before TikTok?
Not quite. So it's interesting, I guess, like a lot of stories do at this point. It starts in March when I was, in my second semester of my senior year, and a lot of my friends were starting to apply for jobs. My friends who were in business school already got like consulting jobs with companies months ago, things like that. And I started to panic a little because I'd started pre-med and I very quickly learned that I loved bench work. I loved research in general. I loved getting to ask questions and find the answers. And I knew I wanted to stay somewhere in science. And I just was kind of at a point where I wanted a job and I didn't quite know what that was. And I was interviewing for a position with a like biological sales company selling biologics to universities and labs. And they actually offered me the position. They really liked me. But it was a question I was asked in my interview. And they said, if you were offered something that had to do with, research in a couple months, would you have taken that instead? And so I decided to turn down that offer, which was in January. And of course, in February, March, I was kicking myself for doing so. And part of it, too, was I worked in apartment leasing sales. So it was kind of like an RA job, but it was off campus. I worked in an off campus apartment. I was doing sales. And I realized from that I really enjoyed working with people. So that's kind of why I was interviewing for sales roles, things like that. And then the pandemic happened, things paused. And I said, okay, I'll give myself to the summer. Who says I have to have a job right now? A lot of people don't have jobs right now. I'll wait until June, July, start searching. And then when I picked up my job search again, I still was kind of thinking, okay, maybe sales. There's pharmaceutical sales reps. For a while, I dived really deep into medical device sales because that has a clinical aspect. So I was like, okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe I'll watch this guy's YouTube videos. I'll look for this or that. And then I saw TikTok that was about, if you were pre-med or you had a biology degree and you thought about, you didn't want to be a doctor, you didn't want to pursue a PhD, what can you do? And it described, work for a CRO, work in clinical research. And, something hit me. I decided right away that this is something I'm interested in looking into further. Medical device sales didn't really seem to fit my personality. I wanted to be part of the science, be part of the research. And so I, as any, I guess, Gen Z person does at this point, is I went to YouTube, I went to Instagram, I went to TikTok. I tried to search, what's out there, a day in the life of a clinical research coordinator, things like that, see what opportunities there were. And then also at that point, I knew how important it was to network. So few people were getting jobs. I reached out to, I was in a sorority in school. I reached out to sorority sisters. I reached out to family friends, to people on LinkedIn. And I started conducting informational interviews. So this was kind of before I found your class. I had started applying to CRC positions because I saw that a lot of them you only needed 0 to 1 year of research experience. And especially I'm so close to the city, there are so many opportunities in Manhattan. So I started applying. I started reaching out to my network, and anyone from a university who had graduated and was working in something in clinical research, I'd reach out on LinkedIn or if I could find their email, and I'd say, hi, could you talk to me for 5 or 10 minutes, do an informational interview? I'd love to hear how you got started. And that was really helpful because I got to hear exactly what it was like for people to be CRCs in different hospitals. And it just really helped me know that's exactly what I wanted to do. It's exactly what I was looking for. So with that confidence, I continued to apply, and I wasn't hearing back. I had 2 interviews, which I thought had gone okay. I was kind of confused when I hadn't heard back.
So you did get interviews?
I did actually get a couple interviews before starting your course, just based on internal references or just, applying to the hospitals were hiring, because at that point, too, they were starting a lot of the COVID-19 vaccine trials during the summer. So this was end of July, early August. So at that point, I kind of had seen that there were CRC or different courses online. And I was like, why would I take one of those if, I am getting a couple interviews, if things do seem to be going well, nothing here says that I need to have taken a course before. And I, didn't hear back from the most recent interview I had done. And I was like, I've been watching a lot of this guy's YouTube videos. He seems to know what he's doing. His course
Wait, which
seems
guy?
to...
Are you talking about me?
To you. I watched a lot of your YouTube
I thought you
videos.
were talking about the TikTok person.
No, the TikTok person did like a couple videos, but beyond
Oh,
that,
okay, okay.
there's not. So when I found clinical research and I went to YouTube, the first thing I found was you. I
Ah, there we
remember very
go.
specifically your
Make sure you guys
video
like,
Yeah,
subscribe, and
always,
comment right
explaining
now on
always.
the
YouTube.
difference between a CRC and a CRA. I watched that video. And
Okay.
I also remember how heartbroken I was before my like last interview, before I was kind of like, this is it. I think I need a course or something. I stayed up very late watching your 5-hour all you need to know about clinical
Yeah.
research course. I was taking notes. I was trying to look at their studies, think of questions I could ask in this interview. I was trying really hard, and I wasn't getting those opportunities. So finally, I said, you know what? Dan seems to know what he's doing. I kept seeing your interviews, your YouTube videos. I said, let me give it a chance. And I scheduled a call with Monica. And I was like, okay, what is this program? What can you guys offer me that I can't find right now? And I remember too, I asked Monica what makes you different than any of these other companies on Google Online advertising
Uh-oh,
that they'll get me a
Monica.
job
Tough
in
question.
clinical research. And I remember her saying that you guys give back, that you try to provide as much information possible to everyone, that you really are trying to further the industry, to spread information. And that's something that really resonated with me. It was something that I really find important in research, is to share information when it's found, and something that I had found that you guys had already helped me with by having all the resources and YouTube videos. And it made me feel like I was making the right choice. So I said, okay. Also, because at first I was interested in your CRA Academy, but it had just passed in August. I had emailed you and you said, oh, I'll hook you up with Monica. She runs the CRC Academy. And I said, you know what? I've been applying to CRC positions anyways. I'll do the CRC Academy, and it was the next one to start. And I haven't really looked back since. It's been a wonderful experience.
Wow, and we're going to get into more of the story, but thank you guys for putting your comments. Luis asks from LinkedIn. By the way, if you're on LinkedIn, push all the buttons you can on the video, because we need to trick the algorithm. We have to make the algorithm go crazy and show this to more people. Rebecca, do you have a LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay, good. Very important for you youngsters. It's not all about TikTok. For boomers like me, I have to be reminded to be on TikTok. But vice versa, the new generation needs to be reminded to be on LinkedIn. Okay, Luis asked, one of you heard about GCSRT Harvard School Program? So I have it in front of me, Global Clinical Scholars Research Training. I think this, because Luis has a follow-up question. He has already been a CRC for 6 years. So Luis, I do not think this is going to help you whatsoever. These academic places, especially a place like Harvard, I don't want to get in trouble with what I'm going to say, but I don't think you need to spend money for this. If you feel like taking a certification, just go and get Certified Clinical Research Coordinator. Go get CCRC. That has much more value in the industry than some random thing by Harvard, just because it's Harvard. Look, nobody cares. You're not going to fool anybody that you actually went to Harvard by taking this course. So that's my opinion. Do as you'd like, but I think CCRC with ACRP is better. And you definitely qualify for that. And Danielle, shout out to Danielle Coe from Black Women in Clinical Research. She says, that's how
Hi,
you do it.
Daniel.
That's how you do it. So, okay, so you got into the course relatively quickly, and you watched some of the videos, and you're like, okay, I think I could start out as a CRC. And then what's your end goal? You want to be a CRA, or what do you want to do? You want to own your own site? Because you seem like you have some. You said sales several times. You have some kind of something there with maybe business owner. What are you thinking?
I don't know for sure. I know I do want to become a certified clinical research coordinator. I hopefully where I'm working right now, hopefully we'll be working with soon. They have a nice process of being able to move you up into through different positions. So I'd like to see if I, enjoy working at a large hospital system. I'm kind of at a point where I've learned not to really say no to any opportunities. You never know what's going to happen, and I'm only 22, so I feel like there's a lot on the horizon for me. So maybe one day being a site owner, but for now, I want to be the best CRC I can be. Maybe get an MPH possibly, but I'll have to see beyond that.
Okay, so MPH, we had
Rebecca,
another guy I interviewed earlier earlier this week, and he's kind of similar story, but he didn't do our CRC Academy. What were you gonna say, Monica?
what was the what was is the best thing that you can say about the CRC Academy?
Definitely the mentorship that you guys provide, having the opportunity to ask you guys questions who have years of experience, having that a sounding board to ask exactly like Dan just answered a question, to what should I do next, where should I look, what should I learn. I'll always have in my head Monica saying patient safety first. That came up every single lecture. But I was able to learn, I felt like a very large scale. I felt like I learned every single step in a research study that made me feel very confident going on interviews, that made me feel like I really didn't know this before, but when I was interviewing previously or before taking the course. But overall, it was definitely all the opportunities you guys provided, even outside of class, whether it was to call you and ask a question, to email, the bonus class, getting to work with Ashley. That was great. So that was
Oh,
definitely
Ashley
my
Margot,
favorite thing.
shout out to Ashley Margot, Latinos in Clinical
Yes.
Research,
Yes,
representing strong.
I did. I did my
I
CV with her.
respect you. I respect you so much, Monica, because you go straight for the let's talk about CRC Academy. I love that. We gotta keep promoting CRC Academy. It's so important. We're just starting this thing. It's only a year old, right? So we're gonna keep growing that. And I think Rebecca, you said you did a few interviews before our course. How many did you do after the course?
So there was like kind of a weird lull where I was still applying to positions throughout the course, but I wasn't getting any interviews. And I was definitely a bit confused, but I also didn't have the fact that I was taking this course on my resume. And that all changed when you guys did the bonus class with Ashley. And at first I was kind of, it sounds weird, but I was a little bit upset when I was seeing Ashley describe how to do your CV and resume, because my university had a very specific like college career resource center where they taught you exactly how to do your resume, to do this, to do that. And I'd been job searching for months at that point, and I felt like I knew a lot about how you should have things on your resume. I felt like I had worked really hard on that. And Ashley was telling me things that were sometimes the exact opposite of what I had heard needed to be on a CV or resume. And I said, you know what? The CRC Academy hasn't steered me wrong at any point so far. I've been learning a lot. Let me reach out to Ashley. Let me have her help me, because clearly something on my resume, something is not coming across correctly, because I feel like I've been putting the work in, and that I may not have the experience yet, but I have the drive and motivation, and I would like to have more interviews, and I'd like to have that opportunity. So I worked with Ashley, and she was really excited because she recommends doing it exactly halfway through the course, and that's about where I was at that point. So halfway through the course, I got my CV all made up by Ashley. She helped me with my LinkedIn. It was a great couple phone calls with her, and I felt confident. And within applying for roles with my new resume, it literally took 3 days before I was on a screening call for the first time in about 3
Wow.
months.
You guys love Ashley Margot. Shout out to Latinos in Clinical Research,
Oh,
Ashley
yes.
Margot. Everybody speaks so highly of her. We need to have her on a live stream. Okay, so then you got immediate interviews. Uh, and I know Monica's strength is first of all, she's a great teacher, but she's also focuses on this generalist. So being a generalist and teaching a coordinator basically how to do everything at the site. Like theoretically, you can run an entire site on your own. Where you're gonna go, Rebecca, you don't need to do that. But some people do, and that's been helpful. Did that help you in your interviews at all?
Yes, for sure. I felt like I was very well-rounded when I was able to speak in my interviews. Specifically, it was like my second round when I was able to speak with some CRCs from the hospital that I will hopefully be joining. And they mentioned how one of the CRCs mentioned that she wished she knew more about regulatory when she had started, that she really, it's handled a bit separately, that she had no idea what some of these forms were, that she had wished that she had that experience previously, and that she thought it would be very valuable that I was going and knowing it. And at times, because I had been very focused on larger academic institutions and hospitals in the New York City area, that when Monica was teaching, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'll really need this. I don't know if this is something that they do. A lot of it was situated to smaller sites. But because of that, because I was to learn every single step from the point of view of a small site and budgeting and how to get a study, the whole process, it just made me that much more confident, and it was so helpful. She goes so detailed that it was really valuable information, and it definitely showed in my interviews and what I was able to talk about. So
That's good.
yeah,
to hear.
shortly.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I really am. And the fact that, as you guys can see, she's a go-getter after listening
Yes, I
to
can
her
see
whole
this.
story. And she's determined, and I have no doubt that you're going to be extremely successful. And another benefit is that she's a Latino background, so uh, you're bringing diversity to the workforce.
And that's true. This
That's
is
what we're
absolutely true.
doing with the Latinos in clinical research.
It's really, yeah, it's really a something that sponsors in the industry, CROs, big employers, they are focusing a lot on diversity as they should be. So that's, and all you guys that are just getting started in research, it's never been a better time to get into research because the market is in your favor right now. You have an extreme shortage of workers because all the resources are being strained by COVID. So there's so many COVID studies now. A lot of the resources are being shifted towards COVID studies, and we still have all the other studies going on. And I don't know did they tell you what studies you're going to be doing when you start working, Rebecca?
No, I don't know exactly what department I'll be placed in, but some of them might be COVID related. I know the hospital has like a separate COVID-19 trials study unit, so I'll see for sure. I know, but I think to my understanding, they'll probably be non-COVID related since a lot of the COVID related trials are taken on by that department now.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
COVID is huge. When I was doing interviews, throughout this time period, I had one end of August where I was asked if I'd be interested in COVID vaccine trials, and I said yes. And a few of the trials I'd applied for, I was applying to be like a trial specific CRC. So I was only going to be around for the length of the trial, which I was okay with because I needed experience, etc. And the recruiter was very upfront about that. So there was at a lot of hospitals I found in the city that they were recruiting specifically CRCs for just COVID vaccine studies or COVID trials.
A lot of people want an inside perspective into as far as the questions that you got during the interview. Can you kind of give us, because you've been through how many, like about six interviews, more or less, or
Probably,
five?
yeah,
Mm,
probably about 5 or 6.
Are there any
Um,
common themes, or were they all different?
I found they were all different. Some of them were like I did have a few at specific hospital systems that the questions were similar, but it really depended. Like I interviewed for specifically a gastroenterology CRC position, and they asked me about the trials that they were doing, like kind of the background I had on their specific research. So I do recommend, I guess, if you are looking at a specific department to see what they're known for, what their PIs have published. Things like that, because I was asked about that. I mean, a common theme I find is always they want to see how you can handle multitasking, how you approach a busy day, having multiple tasks to do, things like that. Something I've gotten, because even before I was interviewing for CRC positions and clinical research positions, they always want to know how you resolve conflict with coworkers, things like that. Like those,
So they
I
always ask
can't.
this.
I would say, yes, actually in March, right when COVID started, I had a 6-hour long interview process for, it was like a market research consulting firm. It was totally out of the blue. I met someone at the job fair at my university and I was like, sure, this sounds interesting. I had never thought about it before. And I've learned a lot from each interview, but I will say there's a lot about just the behavioral questions they ask. So you can try to focus on specifically clinical research things, but I find, especially I guess with entry level roles, they want to ask behavioral questions. How do you work with others? How do you handle large tasks? How you respond to certain situations. So I think you always should prepare for those. You should always have a story in mind. I think that works best,
A
helps them remember
story.
you.
Have a story.
Yeah,
That's
that's
very
something I've
important.
learned a
Because I was
lot
just going to ask
from.
you, how do you answer this without sounding cliche? Like, oh,
Yeah.
we always communicate.
So when it
Yeah.
comes to even like strength and weakness, well, from what I've learned, I feel like I've watched so many various HR professionals and other people, whether from TikTok or YouTube, answer
TikTok's
interview
crazy.
questions. It is. And a lot of it is, if you can give them a specific example, if you have a story in mind. And I've found that, not only answering that way, it helps, but it also helps you remember. It helps you not panic a little when you're trying to think of a specific instance when you maybe didn't see eye to eye with someone or had a lot of tasks to handle. Having that story right away in mind, these are questions that you're going to be asked in an interview, that they might ask, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses lie, how you communicate with people, things like that. So going in and knowing those stories already and having those in mind definitely help.
Did they
Any
ask you
particulars?
specifics about the clinical research coordinator job?
They would ask things like what I had learned in the academy, because that was on my resume. So they asked, what is this academy? What exactly did they teach you? And I was able to describe that, I learned a lot, which at times is overwhelming because we did go through so much in the academy. It was like, how do I summarize this? But I was able to describe, and of course, GCP, all the regulatory and source documents and things that we had learned about. I remember specifically I was kind of rambling a little bit in an interview, and she said, I just need to hear, when it comes to source documents, I need to hear one thing. And it was you had just given the lecture on it. She was like, I just need to hear an acronym. Do you know what the acronym is that I'm talking about? And I was like, Alcoa C. She got, that's exactly what I
Who asked
wanted
you
to
this?
hear.
The person I
This
know?
is this is in a COVID-19 trial interview
Okay.
I had that they wanted. And it was so funny because it was, I think, a Friday, and I had just had the class with Monica that night where she went over Alcoa C. So it was perfect timing. I emailed Monica right that day saying, you'll never believe what I got asked in an interview today. She said, I just want to hear one thing from you. What is the acronym? And
See?
I knew it right away.
See, guys, our students that we're training come out on the other end like so good. People test them. They're like, "Oh, we don't believe you this good. It can't. It's not possible. That you're this good." And lo and behold, Rebecca proved them wrong. And now all those places that turned you down wish they had you. All of
Hopefully.
them. I know there's a rap line in there somewhere, but all those places, they're gonna regret because they need like the industry really needs more people, and it's really hard to find even entry level. You can tell when someone has potential. Like this is why I was asking you, Monica, why did you think she had what it takes, and you gave the right answers, but even potential by itself is tough to come across, like genuine potential. And then you enhance that with a practical knowledge. I mean, this is not Harvard. We're not going to teach you theory. We're going to teach you reality. And when you go in the workforce, yeah, Harvard looks prestigious if you have like a certificate from Harvard. Okay, it looks prestigious, but everybody knows outside of Harvard and probably even inside Harvard that this does no good. What is this? How is this going to help answer these queries that we have that these monitors keep bugging us about? How is this going to help get us more patients in the studies? Your certificate from Harvard may look good to hang on the wall. Maybe look better than ours to hang on the wall, but I don't know. Monica make it look nice too. So it's practical, guys. You got to balance your potential, okay, your ambitions with practical stuff and how to help the employer. You're not going to interviews to make yourself look good. You're going to do that anyways. At least you're going to hope you're going to do that anyways. You're going to the interview with the mentality of how can I help this employer? I need to figure out why they need to hire me, and then I need to tell them why I'm the best person, and they should just stop all future interviews because I'm it. Like, this is it. And that's the kind of confidence you need. And Rebecca seems to have that kind of confidence. Um, much of it instilled by the great MPC Monica Paula Quitiva.
I always tell the students that they are going to remember me by while they start their jobs or their careers because they're going to say, oh, I remember I saw that in class. So they are going to go back to that class recording to watch the class again and refresh that information because they are going to use every single thing they saw in class.
Yeah, you really
Yes.
would. And here's a secret. Like, you learned what you need to run a site, like to even start your own site, because Monica even teaches how to get study opportunities and how to network and things like that. Going forward, Rebecca, are you planning to be more active on LinkedIn? Have you been networking already on LinkedIn? Or what's the next steps for you now that you're going to get into this next stage of your career? Um, what's next for you?
Yeah, I definitely want to continue on LinkedIn. I don't post on LinkedIn often, but I do, interact with content on LinkedIn. I probably check LinkedIn like 2 or 3 times a day. It's kind of in my normal social media scroll. You go Facebook,
Mm.
Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn.
I got a new one
So
for you. You got an iPhone?
yes,
Clubhouse. Clubhouse. I got an invite for you, okay? It's by
okay, that'd be
invite
perfect.
only. You get, and I'm telling you, Clubhouse is the future of B2B in this industry, at least for the near future. We don't know long term. Maybe Facebook will buy this thing and it'll just integrate it into Facebook chat. We don't know, but right now there are pharma in there, CROs in there talking about like really high level stuff, but they love, I repeat, love to get the perspective of coordinators or people from site levels. Like, each time I go in there, people ask like, "Hey, we have someone from a site. Can you talk? Help us?" Because these are all like Harvard mentality people, right? They don't understand like what it means when a patient wants to leave because he's waiting too long in the waiting room. They can't comprehend this stuff. This is like their high level stuff. So Clubhouse, I highly recommend. Rebecca, I'm gonna send you an invite, and then Monica's on there too. We can start our own room and start having people from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter jump on, and maybe even some TikTok folks. So I recommend Clubhouse. I need to start using it more too. And we got Isabel saying hi. Where are you from, Isabel? Let us know if you got
Hi,
questions.
Isabel.
Any more questions, Monica, for
Texas. She's
Rebecca?
in Texas.
Anything else you guys want to say, Monica or Rebecca, as we wait a little bit for some questions, and then we'll wrap up.
No,
I
I want to say congratulations. And
Yes.
and I'm like I say, I'm very proud of you. I knew you were going to get it and make it the best. I mean, the best experience ever. And obviously, I wish you all the best. And and I guess that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely, if I have anything to say, it's thank you
I,
to both, Monica and Dan. I've learned so much the last few months that I had no idea about, and just all the support. I think the biggest thing is I followed every step. I followed the advice that you guys gave. You guys said take the course. I took the course. You guys said talk with Ashley. I spoke with Ashley. You said take a Coursera course. I took a Coursera course. Get the certification. I looked to get said certification, and I followed the advice you guys were giving, and I'm so thankful for where it's led me. And I'm also thankful because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who need this advice, and you guys will be continuing to help them. So I'm really thankful.
If people want to reach you, where do they go? Do they go to your LinkedIn? Do we send them to your TikTok? Where do we send them?
Definitely LinkedIn is probably the best.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram, but that's not research related at all. But yeah, LinkedIn for sure. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and I'd love to chat. So definitely
Because
send me a
now,
request.
now we're gonna have this gonna be recorded. So if you're listening on the podcast too, links to Rebecca's LinkedIn are in the show notes. And I know all you guys gonna want to go network. And now she's gonna be on Clubhouse, so you're all gonna be thirsty for those invites. If you have iPhone, okay, it's not available on Android yet as of February 5th, 2021. But thank you guys so much for doing this. And thank you everybody for watching and for listening. And we'll catch y'all later.